So yesterday we had the B word, which is an online meeting, one of the most anticipated talks, a conversation between some of the most influential people. We had Jack Dorsey of Twitter and also CEO of Square. Elon Musk, no introduction needed. Of course, Elon Musk is one of the most influential people right now in crypto, even though he himself is not really that much involved in crypto. But I mean, he did quite a lot for Dogecoin and Bitcoin, of course. So many people were eager to find out what is his current stance on Bitcoin and some of the other topics discussed. And the third guest was Cathie Wood, CEO of ARK Investments. I actually mentioned Adam Back yesterday in my video when I told you about this talk, and I also gave you the link if you wanted to watch it live, but that was my mistake. Adam Back was actually on a previous talk. So he's one of the speakers of the B word. Apparently there will be more of these talks happening, so it's good to actually follow this, because I mean, even though we didn't really learn anything new, it is good to see these people express their opinions and their personal experience with cryptocurrencies, because these are people that one tweet from any of these guys can move the market. So it's important for us to follow these things in terms of sentimental analysis, just so that we know what's currently happening. Bitcoin today is actually up more than 6%. And this is because of the positive things that were discussed during that talk. I'm going to give you a quick breakdown, a summarized breakdown of what was discussed on the talk. And then we're going to talk about the price of Bitcoin. How can it be affected? What can we expect over the next few days? So stay tuned. Let's get started. All right. Well, okay. So first of all, the talk was hosted by Steve Lee, and it featured Cathie Wood, CEO of ARK Investments, Elon Musk, Tesla and SpaceX founder and CEO, Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter and Square. I'm gonna first start with Jack Dorsey and what he was discussing, because I'm not really going to go question by question and point by point. I'm just going to summarize what each of the guests were actually discussing and the points that they made. So Jack Dorsey was talking about how the community of Bitcoin was actually what really drew him into the whole idea, and how impressed he is by the community that is building things for the sake of it, for the sake of building, and for the sake of just creating also the decentralization, the fact that Bitcoin is not being controlled or driven by just a group of people or someone in particular. You know, things are being proposed, things are being rejected or agreed on, they're being implemented, and the community really is what made him feel how he felt back in the beginning when he started Twitter, and he mentioned how he actually has a career because of people wanting to build, people wanting to experiment, and just being keen on creating things. And this is also how Twitter became as big as it is today. Even though Twitter is a very different beast to Bitcoin. Twitter is a centralized company, and Square is a centralized company, but he did put a lot of emphasis on decentralization and the fact that Bitcoin is not being controlled by one entity. I mean, he's more than happy to be the controlling entity of Twitter, but he is really impressed apparently from the decentralization and the community spirit of Bitcoin. Also, one of the key things that he mentioned was that if the internet gets a chance to have its own currency, to him, that is Bitcoin. And also, he mentioned that the amount of business models and innovation that Bitcoin welcomes is really a game changer. If there was Bitcoin prior to Twitter, he said, we would have a very different revenue model than the current advertising business model. And this is a very good point, because he wasn't talking only about Twitter. He just meant in terms of Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, even all this social media that started just before Bitcoin was invented, and way before Bitcoin was actually already started to function properly and everything. These social media actually based their revenue model on kind of a old-fashioned revenue model that is mainly from advertising. With cryptocurrencies, you actually have way more ways to explore revenue rather than just advertising, and hopefully, possibly, in the future we're going to see a kind of a move from advertising into a slightly different business model. I'm pretty sure that he's already looking into this if he's mentioning it. He also talked a lot about Africa and how you know, many countries in Africa are not really having proper banking. Many people are not exposed to having proper banking, and they're paying really high rates for transacting, especially if they have to move money abroad and stuff like that. And this was also echoed by Cathie Wood. I'm going to talk about her in the end. Let's move on to Elon Musk, because this is what everyone was really anticipating. They really wanted to find out what are his thoughts on Bitcoin. How is he going to defend himself after he took a lot of criticism for this statement that he issued about Tesla when they stopped accepting Bitcoin, and he really made it a big point about the energy consumption of Bitcoin. So there were a few times that he was asked questions, maybe 3 or 4 times, and every time he was answering a question, he made a point of saying that he actually owns a lot of Bitcoin, some Ethereum, not as much as Bitcoin, some Dogecoin as well, and these are the only 3 assets that he owns aside from Tesla stock and SpaceX stock as well. Every time he was answering a question, somewhere during his answer, he actually slipped this in. So he reiterated it at least 3 times. And he wanted to make that point because he wanted to basically explain that it's not in his best interest to be bashing Bitcoin. So he didn't actually do that. He kind of defended himself that he didn't actually talk about the energy consumption in a way to bring the price down. He also made a strong point about the fact that he's not selling. He actually joked. He said, "I might pump, but I don't dump," which was a very strong point. He said, "I don't believe in getting the price high so that I can sell." And he said, "I want to see Bitcoin succeed." But what he explained in terms of the comment, the announcement about the energy consumption, is that the fact that when Tesla announced that they have bought Bitcoin and they are starting to accept Bitcoin as a payment method, it actually drove the price up of Bitcoin. In a very short space of time, there was a huge run up in the price, and with that, the energy consumption of Bitcoin also skyrocketed. And he said that there is no way that you can double or triple the mining efficiency only with renewables in such a short space of time. So this is when they decided to suspend transactions for now. And again, he pointed out, we are not selling, Tesla is not selling, the company owns Bitcoin. And he said, if I was purely financially motivated, I would not have made such an announcement. Also, he said, I will confirm that the energy consumption is around 50%. Most likely, he said, is around 50% renewables, but he needs to do more due diligence on that. And most likely, he said, we will resume accepting Bitcoin. Well, he didn't say exactly when, but as soon as he confirms that the energy consumption of Bitcoin has moved to 50 or more % renewables, Tesla is going to be more than happy to resume Bitcoin payments again. This is going to be quite big, and possibly when they make this announcement, we're going to see the next big run up. Also, he hinted upon the fact that Tesla could actually play a role in renewable energy for Bitcoin, because he explained in a very detailed way, he explained the very reason for Tesla's existence, how he started building this company, how renewable energy is in the core of his philosophy for Tesla and even for SpaceX, even though I'm pretty sure SpaceX is far from using renewables for the majority of their energy consumption. Anyway, you know, he was talking about building solar battery packs for houses and small businesses, and basically explaining his efforts to build renewable systems for decades. He went into too much detail on their negotiations and orders and things that aren't necessarily important for us, but it kind of gave us a good idea how green and nice Tesla is. Also, he was talking about long-term renewable energy being cheaper in the long term, which will encourage more people to switch to renewable sources. Also, he mentioned that he was thinking about digital money for the longest time, ever since his PayPal days, and that he likes the decentralization part in Bitcoin. He did point out, though, that Bitcoin's transaction volume is low and the transaction fees are high. and the energy consumption is high, of course. And also he was talking about Lightning Network being one of the good solutions, layer 2 scaling basically being a good solution for Bitcoin because it has to scale and it cannot scale at a base layer. He expressed his concerns about scaling on base layer or layer 1 because that will hurt the special properties of Bitcoin. And but he is, from what I understood, he is actually in favor of scaling even at the base layer, because he said that the average person is not going to run a node, and that basically most of the node runners are companies these days, and as such they have the capacity to actually afford to run more expensive hardware so that they can sustain a bigger blockchain, meaning that even if the blocks were bigger than 1 megabyte or the current 2 megabytes with SegWit, he thinks that people will be able to handle it, miners will be able to handle it, because right now we have high bandwidth and low latency. I don't think he's considering countries that have expensive or slow connectivity, so I'm not really sure, but nevertheless he is more in favor with layer 2 scaling solutions, or layer 3 even scaling solutions, which is good to know. He also mentioned Dogecoin, of course. Apparently he's drawn towards Dogecoin because of its speed and low fees. He said it's worth considering something that has high transaction time and low transaction fees. And he was laughing a lot about Dogecoin, clearly also not taking it too seriously at this point, but he mentioned something that he's actually already said in previous interviews, that the most entertaining outcome could be, and also the most ironic one, could be that the meme currency could actually prevail and become a serious cryptocurrency. He already said that earlier, so clearly he is infatuated with this idea. But the biggest takeaways from his speech were the fact that Tesla owns Bitcoin and is not selling. He owns Bitcoin and he's not selling. He owns some Ethereum and some Dogecoin, but by far, he said, the biggest is Bitcoin from the cryptocurrencies. And he said that he's not really interested in trading, meaning that he doesn't really care about the small price swings or even the high price swings in Bitcoin. He is not selling when it's high, only to reaccumulate it when it's low again, which is what many people were speculating that he's doing with his tweets. So we cleared the air about that. Cathie Wood, the third speaker, CEO of ARK Investments, she was talking about the disruptive innovation of Bitcoin and how it is the payment system that the internet neglected to build because e-commerce wasn't expected to become a thing. Also, she discussed Bitcoin from an economics point of view. She said this is a rules-based monetary system, which is something that we haven't actually seen before. And the store of value, she pointed out, is a really big deal for her. Apparently running an investment company, this is, of course, a priority for her. It is, she said, it is a hedge against confiscation of wealth, which is really important because for some countries this is really a big thing. And it's also a hedge against deflation. Also, she mentioned how Binance tried to reorganize the Bitcoin blockchain after the hack that they had, more than 7,000 Bitcoin hack, and they kind of wanted to reverse the blockchain or something so that they can kind of get this money back. And then the community rejected it. So she said this was a really good test for Bitcoin. And from an economic point of view, this was a really good outcome. The fact that it was not accepted, that it couldn't be done, this was, she said, this was definitely a deal maker for many of her investors. And people who were just sitting on the sidelines, watching what's happening with Bitcoin, how it's developing, and how people are handling the issues that occur in the crypto space. Also, she talked about the environmental social governance. Bitcoin, she said, will be much more environmentally friendly than gold mining, for instance. Also, in terms of social governance, the disruptive innovation point of view, it will be using autonomous energy. It gives access to payment technology without friction, which is again really important. And here again we had some examples with African countries. She mentioned that the remittance industry globally is worth $700 billion. So saving at least some of these fees will be a social responsibility. The economic empowerment that Bitcoin provides is saving billions from losing their purchasing power, and this is immense and it is a completely transparent, unlike traditional financial systems. This is another point that she made. So these were the most important points that were discussed during that talk. If you haven't seen the talk, you can still go and watch it on repeat. This is the link. I will include it in the description below. It was an interesting talk, but mostly for people who are new to cryptocurrencies. People who are already in the crypto space for years, like myself, we didn't really learn much. We didn't really see anything new, or it was kind of the old talking points that have been discussed many times before. But it's good for people who are not who don't really have big exposure to the crypto industry to hear these things, because Jack Dorsey, Elon Musk, these are people who are not necessarily followed only by crypto people. There's many people that are not exposed to cryptocurrencies that are still watching Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk, following what they're doing, being interested in what they have to say. So for me, this was overall quite an important talk, especially for people who are new investors who recently got into Bitcoin and who got really scared when Bitcoin dropped by more than 50%. Well, Bitcoin is still more than 50% down from its all-time high. In fact, today we are exactly 50% down from its all-time high, as you can see here. 50.50% down from its all-time high, which was at 64,800. All right, so right now we are at 32,100. This was a nice pump that we saw in the hours after this talk. It's dragging the whole market up with it. That's Ethereum is 4% up since yesterday, 4.50%. It is now approaching $2,000 as we speak. BNB is up 2.89, Cardano not so much, XRP almost 4% up, Polkadot 2.5%, Uniswap 4% up, and Bitcoin Cash is almost 4% up as well. Litecoin the same, Solana almost the same, Chainlink slightly less, 2.98%. Stellar is the one from the top coins here that is actually experiencing quite a pump today, 14% up since yesterday. That is 11% up in Bitcoin value. Not bad at all. But as you see, it is kind of small steps. We're not really making a run yet. We're not seeing a rally. We are still kind of consolidating between support and resistance. And as you can see here on the chart, we are right now at resistance levels, and we are getting stopped every time we hit this price level here. So it is a consolidation time. The fact that we got rejected from here, and on the 4-hourly we are currently at a 100 moving average here on the 4-hourly chart. We are not really seeing much volume though. This is what worries me. This is what I'm not really happy about, that because we saw the price going up, but the volume is going down, and this confluence here in price action is a bearish indicator. So I'm not turning bullish yet in the short term. I'm not turning bullish on Bitcoin still. I am being bearish, and until I see a breakout above this resistance, I'm not going to turn bullish for the short term. This is long term, I'm still bullish, but short term, meaning the coming days and the coming weeks, I'm not seeing enough volume to actually give me the confidence that we are turning bullish. So for me, we are going to continue consolidating between this resistance here, 32,500, and the support, which is at around $30,000. A break below this support is going to send us in the 20,000s again, and this time, if we do that, this time we will be going towards the lower 20,000s. I also mentioned that in my previous analysis, so we're going to see how we're going to respond when we approach this support. At some point we are going to come down and challenge this support. I expect this to happen over the next few days, perhaps over the weekend, or even it could be next week. A break above this resistance could actually send us into a full recovery. This time we can actually go and challenge the higher resistance levels, which are at first of all here at 36,000, and then after that we have 38,000. These are resistance levels that we will have to challenge, and we will have to break above in order to go to the 40k again. Unfortunately, these are going to be difficult levels to go through, because We will need a lot of big news or something big happening to actually bring us up there, because we need a lot of buyers. We need an influx of buyers. We need a volume of buyers, and we don't really see that right now. So if things are continuing the way they are currently, I'm expecting Bitcoin to keep dropping. So this here could be just a short-term recovery. We managed to get up here just enough so that we can probably liquidate some of the shorts, but then we started going down again. So over the next few days, I'm not really expecting anything too big to happen. I'm expecting more sideways price action and even a bit of a drawback again, maybe towards the 30,000. This episode is sponsored by Token Metrics, one of my top tools for market analysis and for finding little known altcoins before they blow up. You can get 10% discount when you sign up with the link in the description below, and you can give it a test run for a week before you commit to a long-term plan. They publish detailed analysis on their website, Telegram groups, and via emails directly to your inbox, plus weekly webinars for all members where they go deeper in the technical analysis of the most profitable coins.
Token Metrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams.
Well, this concludes today's episode of Crypto Corner, everyone. Thanks for staying until the end of the video. I hope this brought value to you, and if it did, please share it with someone else who would benefit from the information that I shared here. Also, show your support by leaving a like and a comment below. Leaving comments will also qualify you for my summer giveaway. You can win prizes in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and a brand new Ledger Nano S. This is the most popular hardware wallet device on the market. If you're new to crypto, consider getting a copy of my books, Learn Crypto, the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Investing in Cryptocurrencies, and Crypto Jargon, a complete dictionary of all the crypto terminology that you see in articles, videos, and on social media as well. These two ebooks have already helped thousands of people turn from crypto newbies to experienced investors who know how the markets operate and how to avoid the mistakes that every new investor makes. Links, of course, are in the description below. Make sure that you catch my next episode. If you haven't done that yet, hit the notification bell so you know when I post a new video. And if you want to see more Crypto Corner episodes, just pick one of these.